tried running the other way, so I don't know if I'd be the best advice giver, but I'd say who you surround your child with is the most important thing, you know?
Things just took a seriously twisted turn in this Diddy investigation, and now guess who's being dragged straight into the fire? Justin Bieber's own mother, Pattie Mallette. Yeah, it's getting that deep. At first, people thought Pattie was just another one of those celeb moms who lost control when the fame hit too fast. Like she had a young son who blew up into a global star overnight, and boom, everything spiraled.
Actually, Justin is not just healthy like I prayed, but like I said, he's really talented. He's been putting up videos on YouTube, and he is now the #1 most subscribed to musician in Canada on YouTube. And number 20th in the world.
But now, it's way bigger than that. She's reportedly breaking down on the witness stand in full emotional meltdown after being forced to sit through some disturbing audio that allegedly involves both Diddy and Justin. People in the courtroom say it was that bad. And let's not act shocked like this is the first time we've heard about wild Diddy tapes. Remember that footage people swear showed him and Meek Mill in some sketchy situation? Then there were those rumors about Burna Boy being involved in something similar. This isn't some new pattern, it's been bubbling for a minute. The internet never forgot. Now here's where it really gets crazy. Pattie's parenting history is starting to resurface, and not in a good way. Folks are pulling receipts from years ago, pointing out that she allegedly gave Justin substances when he was still a minor. You know, before he had that infamous DUI arrest that made headlines everywhere. So now people are saying she wasn't just looking the other way. She might have been part of the problem from the start, like not only enabling it, but maybe even handing him off to people behind the scenes who were running these so-called freak-offs. And we can't ignore Courtney Burgess, the whistleblower who lit the match on this whole firestorm. He claimed to have seen 8 tapes involving Diddy, and he didn't hold back. He said 2 of those tapes had underage people in them. Fans have been connecting the dots ever since.
And of those 8, how many seemed to be potentially minors?
2 to 3, possibly 3.
Now they're asking the real question, was Justin one of those kids? And let's not forget, Pattie had Justin when she was just a teenager herself. It was like a child trying to raise another child. People say that kind of setup can lead to things slipping through the cracks, especially when fame and money come into play. Everything happened so fast, and the fallout is just beginning. Justin's dad, nowhere to be found. He dipped out early, straight up left Pattie Mallette to raise Justin on her own, with only her parents around to help. So yeah, when people say Pattie tried her best, they're not totally wrong. She really did try, but sometimes trying your best just doesn't cut it, especially when you're up against the beast that is the music industry. This isn't some regular job we're talking about. This is an industry that chews people up and spits them out. By the time Justin was discovered on YouTube at only 13, Pattie was still super young herself, barely 30.
It takes boldness to to deal with things, and a lot of people learn from it.
Yeah, we're all a work in progress. He's living his life out loud. It's gotta be tough.
You're a beautiful woman, by the way. Mother, I can't see mother.
Now think about that for a second. A lot of people at 30 are still figuring life out. They're drowning in bills, going through breakups, hopping jobs, stuck in therapy, all of that. So now picture someone like that trying to manage a teenage son who's being dragged into high-powered Hollywood circles, rubbing shoulders with people who've got real influence and no limits. It was a ticking time bomb. But here's where it gets messy for real. Pattie ended up putting her trust in 2 grown men, Scooter Braun and Usher. She counted on them to help shape Justin's career.
He knew some lawyers that we could talk to and stuff. So we ended up flying to Atlanta free of charge, just for him to, check us out and get to know us. And
this is Scooter.
Yes, yeah. This is Scooter, and we ended up signing a deal with Usher a couple months later.
On paper, it looked like a dream team. A young rising star guided by major industry players? Sounds ideal, but behind closed doors, that's where things took a dark turn. Justin was flying solo across the country. No mom, no real supervision, just him and Scooter. There's even a story about him flying out alone to perform for Usher. No chaperone, no parent, just a young boy dropped into the lion's den, all for what seemed like a shot at stardom. But now insiders are saying that moment wasn't just some harmless audition. Behind the scenes, stuff was allegedly going down, and it wasn't all innocent. People in the industry have been whispering for years that this wasn't just about career moves. There's long-standing talk that Usher himself might have once been caught up in Diddy's infamous flavor camp.
And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
in the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
That secretive elite setup where disturbing things were said to go down. If that's true, it raises a disturbing question. Was Usher just passing down what he was exposed to, or was he unknowingly caught in the same cycle and brought Justin into it without realizing the danger?
I was not easy.
No, you were not easy.
Oh, please, share something. You can't just say that.
I was not easy. I got suspended from school like every year.
Either way, it's no longer just about music. It's about who was really protecting Justin and who might have been looking the other way. They really had Justin going through the same kind of mess that others went through before him. And it's starting to feel way too familiar. For years, people have been whispering that Diddy was getting way too close to these young male artists, and Justin was no exception. From the jump, fans were raising eyebrows. There are old videos out there, clips that still live on the internet, where Diddy's seen joking about borrowing Justin for the weekend. People laughed back then, but now those jokes hit completely different. And it wasn't just playful talk. Justin was being seen at industry parties that were way out of pocket for someone his age.
I'm taking this out tonight.
What you want to do? What you want to do over the next 48 hours?
48 hours. Let's go. Let's just go get some girls. Let's go hang with some girls.
No business being there, period. We're talking about dimly lit rooms, elite crowds, and grown men everywhere while Justin was barely even a teen. People always said it felt weird. Now it's starting to feel dangerous. The more you look back, the more it seems like everything was hiding in plain sight. That's why folks are now side-eyeing Pattie too. She's always stayed low-key, always lurking in the background, not one for cameras or big interviews. But the second this Diddy scandal blew up, people started asking the real questions, like, where was Pattie when all this was going down? How did her son end up in so many questionable spaces without her knowing? That's when Corey Gamble's name started bouncing around heavy. He wasn't just popping up in Bieber's circle for no reason. People are now saying Corey wasn't just some friendly mentor or industry connect. Word is, he was planted there to keep Justin in check, moving like a full-time babysitter, handler, and cleaner all at once. Someone to keep things tight, keep him on track, and make sure nothing leaked.
I ain't gonna stop you like that, but this is only a tease. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you, Island Def Jam recording artist, Justin Bieber. It's getting ready to go down. Just so you know, we're in the studio right now working on it. Get ready, because it's gonna be big. Ain't that right, Justin?
That's right.
That's right, so look out, we come.
And when it comes to Pattie, it ain't just about trusting Scooter and Usher with her son's career. It's the fact that once the checks started clearing, she seemed to vanish. While Justin was out here in the trenches with grown men, partying, traveling, grinding, she faded into the background like it was all good. But we've seen this script before, right? Parents who either turn a blind eye or don't have the knowledge or the power to shut things down before it's too late. Once the fame hits and the money starts flowing, some parents stop asking questions. They stop digging, and that's when things start slipping through the cracks. And when they do, that's when kids get left to deal with the fallout on their own. It's honestly heartbreaking when you really zoom out and look at that entire era of young stars. Miley, Demi, Selena, Ariana, Justin. It's like they were all part of some cursed generation. Nearly every one of them has battled something heavy. Mental breakdowns, addiction, public meltdowns, rehab stints, and the one thing they all seem to have in common, they were overworked, underprotected, and exposed to stuff no teenager should ever be around. With Justin, the downward spiral played out right in front of the world. There were no secrets, just disaster after disaster splashed across headlines. The doctor, the crying episodes caught on camera, the wild outbursts, and of course the arrests. Who could forget Miami? He was just 19, caught drag racing under the influence, flashing that cocky smirk in the mugshot. At first, people thought he was just being another spoiled celebrity. But then it clicked for a lot of folks. This wasn't ego, this was a cry for help. And if we go back to that Miami arrest, the details are chilling. When cops pulled him in, Justin didn't try to play it cool. He admitted he'd been drinking, smoking, and taking prescription pills.
Justin Bieber, he's free on bail after that arrest for drag racing drunk, the most serious scandal yet for the 19-year-old superstar on what seems like a downward spiral.
But get this, he didn't even know what kind of meds he was on. When they asked, he flat out said, "I take whatever my mom Pattie gives me." Let that sink in. At 19, this dude wasn't just experimenting on his own, he was taking pills handed to him by his own mom. Pills he couldn't name, pills he didn't ask questions about. Whether they were for anxiety, sleep, mood, or whatever else, it didn't matter. He trusted her to the point of blind obedience, and that paints a whole different picture. That's not just poor parenting, that's neglect on a whole other level. So now people are asking the real questions. Was Pattie enabling him? Was she just completely clueless? Or was she so disconnected from what was going on in his life that she didn't even realize the damage she was causing? Because handing your teen son unknown prescription meds while he's spiraling in front of the world, that's not just missing red flags, that's helping light the fire.
I was not easy.
No, you were not easy.
Well, please, share something. You can't just say that.
I was not easy. I got suspended from school like every year.
And just when it couldn't get darker, the Diddy investigation takes another turn. Recently, Courtney Burgess stepped up as a court witness. And what he revealed, straight out of a horror story. He testified that Kim Porter handed him 11 flash drives before she passed. On those drives, at least 8 explicit tapes, each showing different people, 8 different files, 8 different situations. And with Justin's name already caught up in this mess, people are seriously starting to question how deep this all goes. 2, possibly 3. That's how many underage individuals Courtney Burgess says were on those tapes, and when he dropped that bombshell in court, the whole room went silent. According to his testimony, 2 to 3 of the people shown in the files were minors at the time, and even though their identities haven't been confirmed, that hasn't stopped the internet from going into full detective mode.
Out of those 8 videos, 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women, how many of those 8 celebrities were close to being underage or potentially underage?
2 males.
And guess whose name keeps getting dragged right back into the center of it all? Justin Bieber. Word is, those tapes are now actually being reviewed in court. Like, they're being played. If Justin is one of the minors being referenced in any of them, this whole thing shifts. It's no longer just another dark industry cautionary tale. This turns into a full-blown criminal case involving exploitation at the highest level. And that's a whole different kind of nightmare. But what really has people on edge is how strange Justin's relationship with his mom, Pattie, still seems today, even after all these years. Even with him married to Haley, doing his best to show the world that he's healed, that he's moved on, that he's grown. There's just something off when it comes to him and Pattie. Fans have been watching closely, and the distance is not hard to see. It's been noted across social media that Justin and Pattie don't interact like they used to. There's this weird silence between them, like they're not beefing out loud, but they're definitely not close either. And here's the part that really got folks talking. Hailey Bieber, Justin's wife, doesn't even follow Pattie on Instagram. Not a like, not a comment, nothing. But Pattie, she still follows Selena Gomez, Justin's ex. Not her daughter-in-law, but the ex. That's cold. What does that even mean? Is she trying to make a statement, or is that just another sign that something behind the scenes never got fixed? And during the holidays, when most families are posting cozy photos and celebrating together, Justin wasn't with Pattie. He spent Christmas with his dad, not his mom. Again, people clocked that. Because that kind of distance between a mother and son doesn't just come out of nowhere. It points to deeper fracture stuff that probably never got healed. Stuff we still haven't been told. Then just recently, right as the lawsuit surrounding Diddy started heating up again, Justin's team jumped in to try and do damage control. On May 6th, they put out a statement through People magazine. Classic move to get ahead of the headlines, but it only raised more eyebrows because why speak now unless there's something to hide?
There was a time where I was sipping lean, I was popping pills,
Justin's rep recently dropped a statement that had everybody raising their eyebrows. The quote read, "Although Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him." And right away, people were like, why say that at all? If no one was connecting Justin to this case, why even mention his name in the same breath? It came across like pure damage control, like they were rushing to get ahead of a storm that hasn't even hit yet. The timing, the wording, it's all giving nervous energy. A lot of folks believe that statement wasn't just a clarification, it was a quiet deflection. because when you really step back and look at the pattern, it's hard to ignore. There were way too many moments where Justin, while still super young, was in spaces no teenager should have been, especially not alone, and definitely not with high-powered adults in the music industry like Diddy. These weren't regular meet and greet settings. We're talking about late-night parties, exclusive club events, high-profile gatherings where grown folks handled their business far from the public eye. Let's talk about the footage. One clip that resurfaced showed Justin at a nightclub, clearly underage, looking disoriented and out of place. People still remember how messy that night looked. And even though rumors flew around about what happened afterward, the focus now is on why he was even there in the first place. A teenager, surrounded by adults with no guardian in sight. Now rewind it back even further to when Justin was still just a 14-year-old kid trying to navigate his rising fame. There are old videos of him being paraded around by older men in the industry, including Diddy. One segment that's been making the rounds again is from MTV. In it, Diddy jokes on camera about taking Justin to a strip club that same night. You can see Justin's reaction. He forces a laugh, tries to play it cool, but his face turns red. The discomfort is obvious. And that's what has people speaking up now. Because even if it was just a joke, that's not something you say to a teenager, especially not on national TV. Why was it treated so casually back then? Why didn't anyone step in and say, this isn't okay? It even echoes something Usher once admitted. When he talked about his own early days hanging around Diddy, he said he was exposed to everything. There were always adults around, and he saw a lot of things he wasn't ready for. He called it interesting. But we all know when it comes to the music world, that word usually means too much, too soon. And now, years later, those interesting moments are being looked at in a whole new light. There's another clip that's been making the rounds online, Justin and Diddy hanging out, with Diddy talking about getting some girls. Justin, still a kid at the time, just 14, chimes in and says, "It's gonna be a 15-year-old's dream." Like what? That wasn't a grown man speaking. That was a teenager trying to sound grown in front of people twice his age.
And he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
And the fact that no one stepped in, that tells you everything you need to know about the environment he was in. He wasn't 21. He wasn't even 18. He was 14, still figuring out who he was. And he was already being pulled into spaces where he felt like he had to play along, where grown-up conversations and situations were just part of the scene. And what's even more revealing is what happened years later. When Diddy tried to reconnect with Justin, things felt off. Justin didn't look excited, he looked uncomfortable. There's a clip where he tells Diddy straight up on camera that he lost his number. Now, to the average person, that might sound like a joke, but people who've been paying attention know what time it is. Word on the inside is that Justin said that on purpose. He was trying to create distance, trying to draw a line. That wasn't shade, that was a boundary. And Diddy? He didn't seem too happy about it. Not long after, during a live appearance on Jimmy Kimmel, Diddy dropped a strange, casual comment. He said something along the lines of, "Don't bring up what we did back in the day." The way he said it, real slick. But it didn't sound like a joke. It sounded like a warning, like, don't get cute on live TV. And it doesn't stop there. There's actual footage of Diddy patting Justin down, like physically checking him, as if he thought Justin might be wearing a wire or recording something. That moment had fans completely confused. Why would Diddy feel the need to do something like that? What were they involved in that would make him so nervous about being recorded? Then you've got Gene Deal, Diddy's former security guy, coming out and saying there's truth behind a lot of the talk. And he didn't dance around it either. He said the stuff involving Justin, there's more to it than people know.
When there's smoke, there's fire. Why would Diddy be tapping this kid in his chest to see if he wired? And asking him, are you wired?
And let's be honest, in this industry, when you start hearing whispers like this, it's never just smoke. There's usually a fire hiding under it all. And sometimes that fire's been burning for years. Justin himself has spoken about his trauma. This wasn't some PR tactic to grab attention. This was real. In that emotional interview with Zane Lowe, he broke down, tears running, voice shaking. You could feel that pain. That wasn't just fame stress. That was years of being pushed too far, too fast. And now, all these moments from the past, they're starting to look way more serious than anyone wanted to admit. But the moment that really got everybody's attention, the one that hit different, was when Justin broke down crying over Billie Eilish. He wasn't just emotional. He was in full tears, saying he wanted to protect her, saying he didn't want her to lose it, saying he didn't want her to go through the things he went through. I just want to protect her. I don't want her to lose it. I don't want her to go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody. That wasn't just a sweet sentiment, that was coded. He wasn't just talking about Billie, he was speaking between the lines.
People take for granted encounters and yeah,
Fans caught on quick. The emotion wasn't about her success, it was about his pain. Some people even said it sounded like he was pointing the finger without saying names. Maybe at Diddy, maybe even at his own mother. Because let's be real, when Justin talks about what he went through, he's not just referring to camera flashes or social media hate. He's opened up before about how he turned to alcohol and substances just to get through each day. He's talked about being numb, feeling lost, being pushed to the edge while the world watched like it was entertainment. And if you really go back, Justin's been dropping breadcrumbs for years. Moments where the truth almost slipped out. Moments where he seemed to be trying to tell us something without actually saying it. But no one really paid attention until now. Then came the next surprise. Right when people started asking serious questions, Justin made a major move. He sold his entire music catalog for $200 million.
Justin Bieber just sold his music catalog for an estimated measly $200 million. He made the deal with an investment company based in the UK. The catalog includes more than 290 Bieber songs.
Just like that. And not long after, he canceled his world tour. No warning, no real explanation. That's not business as usual. That's someone pulling back. That's someone trying to get out of something fast. Meanwhile, there's been word going around about Pattie, his mom, saying she's not handling all this well. Insiders say she's been spiraling emotionally, struggling with guilt. People close to the situation claim she's been overwhelmed ever since the Diddy lawsuits and shocking testimonies started coming out. The stuff with Cassie, the reports about hotel surveillance, the mail parties, the so-called freak-off gatherings. It's a lot. And it's bringing everything back to the surface. It's all getting way too real, and now Pattie's name is deep in the mess. People are digging up everything, even that 2009 New York Times interview where she basically admitted she couldn't always be around Justin. She said no 15-year-old wants to be around his mother 24/7, and no mother wants to be around her 15-year-old 24/7 either. But now, fans are calling that out hard. One commenter wrote, "I don't care what anybody says. Justin's mom and Usher's mom are just as much to blame for letting their kids stay in that twisted situation for money." And honestly, a lot of people agree. Because it's not just about one bad decision, it's about letting a teenager get handed over to grown men like Diddy and Usher in an industry known for crossing lines. That kind of trust, it's wild. And folks are demanding answers. And now we're hearing that Pattie may have broken down completely in court. Word from inside says she was on the witness stand when graphic audio was played, audio that allegedly included Justin as a minor in a situation that should have never happened. They say she lost it, screaming, crying, saying she didn't know it was that bad. That part shook people, because if that's true, then we're not just dealing with rumors and gossip anymore. This has crossed into something way darker, something criminal, something painful. And the deeper the investigation goes, the more names could get exposed, more stories could come out, more mothers might be left asking themselves how they missed the signs. So now we gotta ask, do you believe Pattie really had no clue? Or is this damage control now that everything's being dragged into the light? Was Justin trying to warn us all along with those emotional interviews and breakdowns? And is Diddy's connection to Justin finally about to explode for the world to see? I need y'all to sound off in the comments below. Don't hold back. Let's talk about it. And before you bounce, don't forget, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on your post notifications so you never miss a single update. We've got more deep dives, more truth, and more untold stories coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.